And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Welcome into RBLR Bucs, where we have a fun show planned for you. With me this evening on the Pirate Show are Musab and Mikey. Musab, man, how is it going, sir?
It's going great, living the dream, Eureka, and I'm excited to be talking sports with you, specifically our Buccaneers.
Yeah, man. Mikey, what's going on, man? How's everything in your life, brother?
Everything is good, man. Living the dream as well. Excited to talk some fantasy 2020 Buccaneers, 2020 or 2002 Buccaneers. I'm looking forward to this conversation. It's going to be good.
Yeah, man. This is cool, man. We're spanning the ages. We're spanning the 2020 Super Bowl team that we've been talking about, and they brought everyone back. And so basically, this is our 2021 Buccaneers, and we're gonna pit them against the 2002 Super Bowl season of your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know, you think about all these matchups. The high-octane Brady offense against the Hall of Fame, just stacked roster of that 0-2 defense. Then on the other side, you have the rough and rugged 2020 defense versus Mike Alstott, Keyshawn Johnson, you know, all Pro Bowler Brad Johnson that year. You know, and there's a lot of different ways that we can kind of mix and match these guys, and eventually, what we're going to do is simulate a 7-game series, you know, kind of like World Series style, champion versus champion. That we'll have them play in a best of 7 series. And I think there's going to be an interesting debate and some questions and comments that we'll have from that. But let's stay in the present right now. We'll go through the headlines first. The biggest headline now that the Buccaneers have pretty much tied up most of their loose ends. I mean, they are I believe the stat is they are the first ever Super Bowl champion to bring back all 22 starters. But one guy they are still in the midst of talking to is Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown made about $2 million for him playing half the season last year, and reports are coming out that he's looking to get more than that to come back to this team. So the first question I would ask you, Musab, man, would it be smart for the Bucs to play hardball with Antonio Brown, or should they just try to get this deal done?
You know, I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest. I would have to, you know, it's something I would have to really kind of dig deeper, but you know, I guess maybe just a little kind of, if I really just had to make a decision immediately, I would probably say, continue. I would just say, you know what? Now I'm gonna say, don't try to play hardball. Try to get him back, because I know he's not the AB that, you know, we've seen in the past, you know, on the Steelers and stuff like that. But I mean, I think he had a great season. He really did, especially coming back from, you know, everything in the past. But so for that reason, I'm gonna say, you know, try to get him back. But the reason why I was a little iffy at first was I just don't think that it is a very huge kind of loss, because I do think that regardless of, you know, if he does leave, I think that, you know, whoever we get, whether that be a, you know, kind of like an immediate free agent signing or last minute free agent signing or someone from the draft, um, I think that is a hole that we can fill in with, you know, the help of Tyler Johnson and, you know, our other guys like Scotty Miller as well.
Yeah, Mikey, do you think the Bucs should be trying to bring back Antonio Brown at all costs, or should they, you know, kind of play hardball and maybe find a cheaper thing like Musab saying?
Yeah, no, I think it's great that we're playing hardball with them. Right now, we have the leverage. Everyone else has come back. This team is complete, as close to what it was for the Super Bowl run. And if he wants to be a part of that, you know, he's gonna have to take the deal that we're giving him. We have a stacked roster right now. We got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson. We have a deep offense. We have Tom Brady, the GOAT, running it, who can turn, you know, a no name into a household name very quickly. So I would say stay the course if he doesn't fall within the budget, and then, you know, good luck for him finding work somewhere else. I'm sure he will. He's a very talented receiver. Brought a lot to our team last year and in the playoff run. But I like that we are, sticking to our guns. We have a budget set, whatever that is. And if he's not willing to compromise or negotiate and fall within that terms, and then, I think it's good business for him to look elsewhere as well. But if we get him back, I'll be happy. If he decides to go somewhere else, I'm totally fine with that and totally confident and comfortable in the team that we have established right now. So I think it's awesome, and that'd be the last piece of the puzzle. It'd be a fun piece to add,
Yeah.
to run it back, exactly like we did last year. But if not, I'm cool with it too.
The other headline, or another headline that came out, was the NFL finally they finalized the plan for a 17th game this season, and they've added the Indianapolis Colts as the extra opponent for Week 17 for the Tampa Bay Bucs. Now, the reason they picked Indianapolis is that the Colts placed second in their division, just like we placed second in the NFC South, and they will be. I didn't see if they're going to rotate that around every year or if it's just going to be South versus South. I would assume they rotate it, but the AFC teams will be the home team this year, and they will alternate every other year. So this year it will be a road game against Indianapolis. Next year it'll be a home game against whoever. Okay, so Mikey, how do you feel first and foremost about there being a longer season in the NFL?
Hey, when you're winning, that's a good thing. If you would ask me this a few years ago when the Bucks weren't playing as good, I'm like another game. I don't want to watch another game. But right now, man, I'm loving it. Another game to watch the Super Bowl champs go to battle. I think Indianapolis is going to have a good team this year as well. So hopefully we're in a good position, and it's a comfortable game where we're not fighting for a playoff spot or anything like that. But I love it, man. The more football, the better. Bring it on. Bring 18 games on. I'm cool with that too.
Musab, man, when Carson Wentz and the Indianapolis Colts come to play the Buccaneers, how do you feel about having to do that at the very end of the season?
I think, I mean, I really, as Mikey said, I mean, looking at our team last year, the more the merrier, and I think it's just gonna be another game for our guys to win. I really do think so. Well, first, I really don't think that. I can already say that I don't think the Colts are going to be any threat to us with that last game, and I think that what, I'm happy, I'm excited for it because I think we're just going to finish out the season with a nice a nice finish. And that's really all there is to it. As Mikey said, 17, 18, 19 games, it doesn't really matter to me because I really do think that we're going to be ending up with a really good record, as we talked about last week. So this is, I know we've been saying in the past over and over again in various ways or another, but I really do think that this is going to be another good year for Tampa Bay Bucs and just overall Tampa Bay sports.
Yeah, now some things that will be different for sure is that now there are no more 500 seasons. There's going to be a winning season and a losing season, and a clear delineation with 17 games.
Nice.
But
I
there's
didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
that angle of it. That's pretty cool.
but there's also an odd amount of home and away games. Like the NFC, the Buccaneers will be playing one more away game than they are home games, right? So, Mikey, what do you feel about some of these changes and how it's going to impact the standings and impact the NFL for sure?
I think it's pretty cool, man. I love, the game is evolving. There's always changes happening. They're always experimenting, new rules, different ways to play the game, to play the game safer, to play the game better. And I'm enjoying it, man. There's, obviously Roger Goodell, he's done some things, to make the NFL the no fun league. But I think it's all for a good reason. I think he's trying to do good. And this change, I think this change is awesome, man. More football, the better. And I love that the NFL has continued to evolve and change and experiment with new things. And if it doesn't work, they could always pull back and go back to the amount of games we had last year. But I'm loving it.
Yeah, and Musab, one thing that I'm sure the players were going for is an extra bye week. That obviously did not go through. But now you're sitting here going, the season is 4 months long, and that's pretty grueling. And now you're throwing in odd amount of away game, home games. Do you think there's anything that's strategically towards the end of the year that's going to happen? I mean, is the 17th game going to end up being the Blaine Gabbert game, or whoever's the backup, or I'm just trying to maybe see the crystal ball. What is there a big thing that the 17th game is going to add to the fun of the National Football League?
Yes, I think so. I think at least half the game. The way I look at it right now, a little way too early prediction is I think at least half the game will be played by Blaine Gabbert. The way I'm kind of picturing it is kind of like the attitude of like we're playing the Lions or something like we did this past year. We're aware of where they stand and where we stand, and I know we're gonna be standing way ahead of them. So it's and Eureka, you mentioned the 4 month long grueling season. I know it really is a lot, but and the other little the little changes to the league you mentioned, the winning losing season and the home away game difference. I don't think that's going to be an issue for us.
Okay.
Championship teams, it doesn't really, the winning losing kind of see. We're gonna have a winning season, all right. So that's already kind of what do you call discussed, or we already kind of locked that in, or hopefully that will be locked in. And then the home and away game thing, it's no issue for me. I think that 17 games is gonna be a little taper. It's gonna be like, all right. Because we're already gonna have a good record. I'm anticipating. So for that reason, that 17th game is gonna be a little bit of, well, let's make sure we win, but also let's test some things out before we get into the playoffs. Let's try to do every single thing we can, and not just game 17, but every single game. Treat every game like it's that your playoff appearance depends on it. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think Mikey will be sweating the Indianapolis game on his perfect season record. I mean, it might come down. It might come down to the backup in Indianapolis, man.
Can you imagine?
Now, someone who was probably sweating as well is head coach Bruce Arians, as he was sitting in a tattoo chair, getting needled up.
That's my coach.
He tweeted that he's a man of his word, and quote, "When we win the Super Bowl, I will get a tattoo. Well, I got mine, and I love it. Hashtag Super Bowl LV Champs." If you didn't get a chance to look at this on his official Twitter page, and I'm sure on his Instagram as well, if he's got one of those, you have the Super Bowl logo with Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the beautiful flag and sword logo with the score 31-9. Forever imprinted on that man's on that is his arm?
I think it's his back shoulder.
Is it his shoulder?
Yeah, because there's a picture of him
safe for
laying
work?
flat.
Is this picture safe to be sharing with everyone?
It's on his left butt cheek.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's mooning everybody.
That's hilarious. So, Mikey, I'll ask you first, man. Are you a fan of people getting tattoos in general, or how sometimes fans will? Well, there was one guy who literally tattooed the trophy on himself before the season. I think
that's always super bold and funny to see the fans tattoo that before the game, and a lot of times they get it, man. A lot of times they end up winning it. So I think it's cool, man. I love tattoos. I got a bunch of them. It's cool to see that a lot of our players have gotten, Lombardi trophies or Super Bowl related tattoos. And it's pretty cool that our head coach has gotten a tattoo. He's an old man, that's the new thing. All the old guys are trying to be young and get tatted up. So I think it's pretty cool. He's a player's coach, man. And he shows it there, and he's hip, and he's always trying to be cool, and he got that lingo and that talk. So I think it just fits his personality, and I'm a fan of it.
So Musab, does he have to repeat? Like, do you have to go double or nothing on this one?
I think so. Definitely. If we win again, then I think he should get one, and I think he will get one.
Yeah.
I might get a tattoo.
Oh no,
I'm
no, no.
trying to
Let's
I'm
not.
trying to
Let's.
find a I'm trying to find a spot for the Lombardi Trophy on my skin too.
Yeah, that's you're right. And that's what I'm gonna do, Mikey. I'm gonna start saving up every game we win. I'm gonna start putting a little money to the side.
There you
So
go.
after
Okay.
at least the 15, 16 wins we get, I'll have definitely enough money to get a nice quality Bucks tattoo when we win the Super Bowl again this upcoming year.
There you go. And get 2 Lombardi trophies at once. You'd have to get 3 if we win the next one.
Now
Well,
I'm gonna have Tom Brady on a hammock with two palm trees,
There,
holding the Lombardi.
there you go.
so we got. Bruce Arians has his Super Bowl trophy and his Super Bowl trophy tattoo. The last Tampa Bay Buccaneers team to win the Super Bowl was that 2002 juggernaut that just demolished the Raiders in the Super Bowl. So I have to bring on the main event here, and let's start talking the 02 team and the 2020 team and how they stack up with each other. And I guess the first question I'll ask is, Musab, man, thinking about offenses, okay? If you could put any of the 2020 offensive starters on that old school 02 team, who would you pick?
If I could put any of those guys of the 2020 offense on
Yep.
the 2002 offense, I would put a few guys for sure.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna say, Brad Johnson, he did solid, but I'm gonna have to put the one and only Mr. Tom Brady, of course,
Okay.
without a doubt. I'm gonna be throwing in Ronald Jones in at running back.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna put him in for Pittman because just what I saw out of Jones, I think he's gonna be working really well already with Tom Brady, and I think even with the rest of the guys that I'm gonna be throwing in, from the 2020 team, I'm gonna keep Alstott, and I'm gonna keep Keyshawn Johnson. I'm gonna throw in Mike Evans.
Okay.
Because these especially these last 2 seasons, he's been on fire. He's just the way I see him is just someone who when we really really need to get the job done, we can trust him. Obviously, did he have a perfect season? He was on fire every single game. No, but he's got the body for it and the skills, and his stats basically tell us why he is amazing. All right, and then tight end.
It was a different game, too. It was a different game. I mean, they weren't really throwing to a lot of the tight ends back then, so.
Yeah, it was a different game, but I'm just gonna throw in Gronk just because if Tom's gonna be on the team and we're already and I already know we're gonna be a winning team, might as well throw Gronk in there. And he really is a good guy. He does the blocking, and he racked up 7 touchdowns total this season. So I'm definitely putting him in there.
All right, Mikey. I won't let you slander. I won't let you slander the good name of all Pro Bowl Brad Johnson. All right, no. So who out of the offensive starters of 2020? Who? Obviously, the Brady one is a no brainer. But are there some other ones that you would say are going to be gigantic upgrades for this 02 team?
I think Musab covered it. He replaced the whole team. I would flip it, do it the other way.
Yeah,
and taking a player from the 02 team into the 2020 team, I think I would just take Mike Alstott and plug him into the Bucs 2020 championship team, and I'll be good with the offense like that. I think offensively, the 2020 team is far superior than anything we ever saw in Buccaneer history, and obviously more superior than what we saw in the Super Bowl run in '02. So I'm sticking with the 2020 offense. Just plug in Mike Alstott.
All right, and now how do you think Alstott fits into the today's game? Where would you put him? How would you game plan for him?
How would I game plan for Alstott? Man, I just hand him the rock and let him run the ball. Goal line situation, just let him jump over the pile. He was a fullback, but he was a running back. Some of these plays, you hand him the ball and he was cutting on players, breaking 5, 6, 7 tackles for 30, 40, 50 yards. This guy was a beast. So I would treat him like a running back. I would mix him up I guess I kind of use him like you use Fournette. A bigger body guy, stronger guy, kind of run through those tackles. So I'd use Ronald Jones for the speed, and I'd hand the ball off to Mike Alstott and let him, A train through the defense and get those yards for us. And if it was a goal line situation, I'll hand him the rock and let him jump over the pile like he used to do. So traditional Mike Alstott. I wouldn't want to change anything about Mike Alstott's game.
Awesome, man. Musab, man, I know you've gone through. Who would you pick? Is there anyone from the O2 team that you would bring to upgrade the 2020 Bucs?
I mean, yeah. The other situation I would just do is basically what Mikey said. I would just throw in Alstott into our 2020 team and just keep the rest of our guys. That's really about it. I mean, the O line that I saw this past season was very impressive.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm keeping all those guys, and then, I mean, same thing with everyone else. I mean, I really do like the rest of our team. So just throw in Mike Alstott, and yep, call it a team.
Offensive line wise, the O2 team had a really solid offensive line. The 2020 team obviously kept Brady upright. Both teams relying on really young left tackles or tackles on the right and left side, and I mean, Mikey, I mean, you both guys have said like there's not a lot of direct comparison, but Keyshawn Johnson, Pro Bowl level wide receiver. Yeah. Keenan McCardle was a Pro Bowl wide receiver. I'm sure they could probably crack this roster. Maybe not as well as Mike Evans, but I think Godwin might have a little bit of a fight on his hands. Make it if those guys come through a time portal and say let's do this. Now, the offense isn't anywhere near the trickiness that now I'll bring for you guys.
It gets complicated on the other side of the ball.
It's a whole different ball game here. Okay, so Mikey, what starters from the 2020 defense would even crack the starting lineup for that O2 juggernaut?
Man, that's tough, man. I mean, the O2 defense was so stacked and so legendary, and they were so good for such a long time before even getting to the Super Bowl. It's hard to take anybody out of there. I don't want to disrespect the legends that led the way, right? So
right.
It's tough, but I mean, I guess if you want to start on the defensive line, the O2 team had Sapp, Simeon, McFarland, and Greg Spires. You can't take Warren Sapp. You can't take Simeon Rice out of that lineup.
Okay.
If I had to put anybody else on that D line, I guess Vita Vea would crack that starting gig, and okay. I think Sue has a chance too as well. Those two guys would be my defensive linemen that I would switch over to the O2 team.
Let's stay with that. So talking defensive line, same question, Musab, man. Is there anyone on today's defense that would crack that you think would be good in that O2 defense?
Yes, I think the two people that come to my mind immediately are, and again, as Mikey said, I mean, really that O2 team was amazing, stacked. But if I really just seeing from this season, and I mean, he's my favorite guy on the team. I would love to have Devin White on the O2 team.
Okay.
And then I would even say one more guy I would throw in. I would say get a crack at starting. I'm gonna say Jordan Whitehead, just because of the times. I know there was ups and downs, but of the times he was really hot. He played phenomenally. He was really crucial, especially in the playoffs, and I really do think that he is someone that can, he would be definitely able to work well with the O2 defense.
Yeah, Mikey, going to linebacker, now you've got some real questions. You've got some big ones. Like the D line was probably the easiest of the three, but now we're talking. All right, you've got Derek Brooks. You've got Shelton Quarles was a Pro Bowler that year. I mean, he had a really good season, undrafted, right? Okay, who are you bringing from today onto that linebacking core?
Yeah, man, it's so hard, right? Obviously, Derek Brooks is the GOAT, Tampa legend. He's not moving from that starting lineup. It's tough, man. I mean, I have so much respect for Levante David and his consistency and what he's brought to this team, and the adversity he's gone through playing for us for so long and finally getting to the promised land. But then you look at Devin White, and he's just a monster, and he has so much
Yeah.
potential, brings so much energy and passion, big play guy. So it's really hard for me to choose between the two of them. If I had to pick one, I guess I'm gonna go with Devin White, man. Put him
Yeah.
next to Derek Brooks, and I think that'd be an unstoppable force.
Yeah, I think you guys are both. I mean, with all respect to Mr. Alshman Singleton, it's not even close.
Yeah, no,
Devin White. I mean, and that's not even bringing up a guy like Shaq Barrett, right? That's
yeah,
that's not bringing in. Levante David, I think, would be hard pressed to crack. Brooks, but maybe if you're just
you
talking to
think
him as
you think it'd be difficult for him to start over Singleton or Quarles, Levante David?
Corals maybe on the interior. If you're just telling him, you're an and maybe in that old defense, right? They're a 4-3. He'd have to sit there in that middle. He'd have to be
Yeah,
that
yeah.
middle linebacker, right? And then if anything ever did get past Simeon Rice, I mean, Simeon Rice is more of a pass rusher, right? But
Hmm.
if you get Sapp and Vita Vea getting quadruple teamed on that front
Those
line,
defensive lines are gonna eat.
yeah, it would hate to be catering for that
Oh
year.
yeah.
Now, Musab, you brought up some of the guys in the secondary as well. Um, do you think that, say, Winfield, Whitehead, Murphy Bunting, Davis are going to match up with Rondé Barber, Dexter Jackson, John Lynch, Hall of Famer? I mean, you got some pretty good secondary back there.
I mean, yeah, we had a great secondary back then in '02. Um, and I mean, yeah, that's why I would just say, who would get a crack at, that starting kind of position would possibly be Jordan Whitehead. That's who I would throw in, just for the reason I said before. You know, regardless of the ups and downs, he had an impressive season, especially during the playoffs. He did a great job. Really came in clutch with some really key plays. So for that reason, I would put him in there, and I really do think that. I mean, he's also a young guy, so I think he'd be fitting in real well. Um, and just overall, even just if I throw him in even in the O2, in the O2 championship team, I mean, it's kind of just thinking about, all right, well, even in the future, I mean, I would keep that kind of guy even for the O3, O4 rest of the kind of season. Um, so that's the only guy I would probably add on to the O2 defense is Jordan Whitehead.
All right, so I think it's pretty safe to say that obviously 2020's got the better offense, and O2 probably has what we would call the better defense. So the only way to settle this, would be to have the 2002 team play the 2020 team in our amazing simulation that we were able to get with there's a wonderful website called whatifsports.com, and they allow you to take any team from any era and match them up. You can match them up in a neutral site. You can match them up with weather conditions, and so that's what we did. So what I'll do is we'll go through. It was a best of 7 series, World Series style. So obviously this is an imaginary situation, and we can have these guys play unlimited amounts of games. But what if it only came down to a best of 7 series? So each team played at their home stadium, which is, of course, Raymond James Stadium. So that's pretty good. They both have the same home field advantage. They didn't play in the old sombrero, so we don't have to worry about field conditions or wind conditions. And I also played them in a perfect 70 degrees with no wind, no snow, no rain, right? That'd be kind of fun to maybe throw weather into this. But so in game number 1, it pretty surprising, okay? The 2020 Tampa Bay Buccaneers were the quote-unquote road team, and they lost after a 17-point fourth quarter sealed the deal, and the 0-2 Buccaneers were able to come away on the heels of a impressive Brad Johnson performance, going 20 of 26 and having 2 touchdowns, and they won 31-13. So I think what the Bucs were doing, that I went in the play-by-play, and they really picked apart that secondary. That's like the one weak link that this team has on defense, and that's kind of where they went. And the 20 Buccaneers weren't able to really get much in terms of they didn't get a ground game going, and Tom Brady did throw an interception against that vaunted.
How many sacks did they have in that game?
Oh
The
man,
0-2
let's see. The 0-2, the 0-2 actually only had 1 sack. Simeon Rice had a sack, and William Golston of all people had. I mean, obviously with respect, but let's be honest here. Had 2 sacks for the 20 defense, and they still weren't able to put it away. It was mostly offensive struggles for the 2020 Buccaneers in this game. So
Okay.
So we kept them at home. Same team was at home. The old school team was the home team, and they obliterated the current day Buccaneers. Game number 2 was a 30-6 blowout on the heels of a 21-point third quarter for the 0-2 Bucs. Again, Tom Brady, another horrible day at the office, and we did see that this year, that if Brady didn't get it going, that offense, no matter how many weapons you have, if they're dropping the ball or he's overthrowing them or something, or they really did go deep a lot in this game, and they weren't able to pull that ticket away. You're talking, let's see, the big difference then. Up until that second quarter, it was a field goal matchup, and Martin Gramatica hit 3 field goals. Ryan Suckup, they were only able to put that 6 points on the board in the first half. Still, no running game whatsoever for the 2020 Buccaneers. Leonard Fournette led the way, 6 attempts, 29 yards. And one of those was a 14-yard long run. So that front 0-2 defense just shut down the run, shut down the pass, obliterated. So, Mikey, how are you feeling, man? The 0-2, the 2020 offense is just not able to get anything going, and then they end up being the home team on an 0-2 deficit.
Yeah, I mean that 0-2 defense was legendary.
Yeah.
You get Warren Sapp and those guys going, and that secondary that they had with Barber and with Lynch and with those guys. I can see that happen. I can see them shutting down Brady on a bad day.
So going into game number 3, now the 2020 team, they switch locker rooms. Everyone's got home cooking, but the 2020 Buccaneers now are the home team, and they are now the victor. In game number 3, they pull it out. It's a 16-7 victory, and it's a comeback victory. They're down 6-7 at halftime, and the defense pitches a shutout, and Brady and the boys are able to score 10 points in the fourth quarter. A Leonard Fournette touchdown with 1:43 really seals the deal for the 2020 Bucs. In this game now, Tom Brady, he's able to go not a solid performance again, but 14-27 and 2 interceptions, but they don't end up costing this team the game because Ronald Jones has a 94-yard with a 20-yard run there. I mean, phenomenal. Leonard Fournette, 76 yards on the ground. And they just really pour it in, and that defense is able to shut down Brad Johnson. Only 156 yards and 2 interceptions, and Ndamukong Suh gets a sack, and no sacks given up by the 2020 offensive line. So in a tight matchup, they now are just 1 game back. So game number 4 is a 23-20 just nail biter. Both teams scoring now at will, and the 2020 Buccaneers have evened the series 2 games apiece. Now, this is kind of what we thought was going to happen. This is the Tom Brady 27 of 38, 346 yards, 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Brad Johnson, he's okay, 200 yards, 15-25. He's game managing, and it's just all out. Chris Godwin has 76 yards and a touchdown. Mike Evans has 71 yards, including two 20-yard or more bombs. Ronald Jones even gets a 27-yard reception out of the backfield. Gronkowski even gets 4 targets for some first downs. The defense, both defenses are also showing up. If I told you JPP, Shaq Barrett, and Jordan Whitehead would all have sacks in this game, this would have been probably the most fun game that we've seen in the whole matchup. 23-20. The defenses are on fire. The offenses are scoring. Just the video game stats here. And now it is an even 2 games apiece. Now, what if I told you the next game they played was a tie? The next game I simulated was a 27-27 tie. This is crazy. I mean, both teams just killing it. Tom Brady throws for 3 touchdowns, almost 300 yards. Brad Johnson, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. It's just back and forth. Ronald Jones goes over 100 yards rushing and has a 31-yard long run in here. There's splitting hairs right down the middle, and at the end of it, 27-27. So that one I kind of just threw out. You can't have a tie. So we went on. Now I'm alternating home teams. So now the 0-2 Bucs are back being the home team.
We're at game 6.
We're at game number 5, technically.
5. Okay.
So it's 2 games apiece, including a tie. So it's 2-2-1. But the 0-2 Buccaneers pull out game number 5, and they take the lead at a 24-6. It's another one of these. If that offense isn't clicking, that Buccaneers, it doesn't matter how good the 2020 Buccaneers defense is. They're finding ways, and if they can just put together 3 scoring drives, they're winning the game. I would think in game 5, the standouts were, Ronald Jones couldn't get anything going, man. Fournette had nothing going. Keshawn Vaughn had -1 yards rushing. Meanwhile, you've got, Michael Pittman over here. He gets his first game as a standout. He gets 76 yards on the ground. He has 2 20-plus yard runs. He was really the big guy. Everyone else kind of workman, like Keyshawn Johnson, 57 yards and a touchdown. Tom Brady throwing another interception in a key moment, kind of stalled them before halftime, and really couldn't get anything going in the second half. So you're kind of seeing here, they're going as Brady's going, right? Mm-hmm. So the last game, the final game, and then this is it. The 2020 Buccaneers were the home team, and they became the first time that a home team lost, as the 0-2 Buccaneers sealed the deal with a 21-16 victory. The big story of this is that Ryan Suckup misses a field goal that would have kind of given the 2020 Bucs some momentum going into halftime. But Brady did all right, 218 yards and a touchdown. Brad Johnson, another solid day at the office, man, 250 yards. And he's able to put the ball in the end zone 3 times, 2 Keyshawn Johnson touchdowns. Lead the day for them. And as far as the simulation goes, the 0-2 Buccaneers, with a phenomenal offensive performance, really, were the difference, where that 2020 defense couldn't really stop them, and the 2020 offense just had no huge games other than the couple that they won by a small margin. And of course, the tie was really the best game that today's team had against them. Now, for all that said, Mikey, if we had to have one game and the portal was open and the 2002 Super Bowl champion Buccaneers, actually, I'll ask Musab first. Musab, the portal's open. Gruden and the boys are walking through the portal, man.
Pound that rock.
Who do you take in one game? One game seals it all. The 0-2 Buccaneers or today's Buccaneers?
I say today's Buccaneers. And
Okay.
the reason I say that, I'll just keep it sweet, is I just think that the the spark that I see that the 2020 team had, not the 2002 team didn't have that, but it's just, I just see something a little special slash different with the 2020 team, which is why I would give them the win.
Yeah, I mean, Mikey, the video game says one thing, but when it comes down to it, when the fingers are in the dirt and you've got all those Hall of Famers and all those future Hall of Famers and all those guys on both sides for both teams in one game,
One game.
who do you have, the '02 Bucks or the 2020 Bucks?
First ever tie in a Super Bowl. They both get Lombardi trophies.
They have half. They saw it in half. They
One group is on one boat, the other group's on the other. They just toss it back and forth to each other, man. I mean,
yeah.
it's tough, you know.
Come on, man.
It's the legends that I grew up with,
Mm-hmm.
going up against the new guys that I'm also growing up with. It's hard to choose. I don't want to bet against the legendary defense with Brooks and Lynch and them boys. It's hard to go against them ever. Because that's what I know. That was the only championship team we had for a long time.
Yeah.
And then you got Brady and the Brady bunch, and we got a solid defense now too. You know, that defense wins championships. '02 got a little bit better defense than this one, but I guess it depends the era, man. What are we playing? What's the circumstances? Just, I don't know. This is tough, man. I don't want to give you an answer.
I
I
mean,
plead the fifth.
you say defense wins championships, right?
I'm going
But
02. I'm going 02.
you're
Musa went
okay.
2020. I'm going 02. I'm going with Sapp and Lynch
Ugh.
and them boys. And the game manager Brad Johnson, he's gonna manage the game right.
That's Pro Bowl quarterback, game manager Brett
Oh
Johnson.
my bad. Thank you for adding that.
Put some respect on
Put
his
some
name.
respect on his
Put
name.
some respect on Brad Johnson. No, so I think that's what the simulation was showing, is that like that defense was just of a vice
The real
grip,
deal.
and if they're able to get in there and basically stop Brady and stop the running game, they could have Randy Moss and all these guys, and it'd
No,
be
it's true.
whoever they want. If you can't get the ball out, well, it's over.
Yeah, you get Simeon Rice on the edge and Sapp, and you got Derek Brooks and them boys and Lynch
Yeah.
laying people out. I mean, that was a legendary defense for sure.
I mean, to be fair, recency bias. I would say.
Yeah,
I would say. Well, you start thinking
it's
about
a real
things like,
thing.
well, what if that team, what if the '02 team was playing in today's, where the rules are way
different.
more geared towards the offensive movement
Yeah,
of the
more
ball,
quarterback friendly, more friendly for the receivers, catching up the middle. John Lynch can't lay people out like he used to now.
Exactly. So if they played in today's rules, I think that today's team would win. It's not easy to say that, but I think that today's team would win in today's rules. And then if you go back, but man, if you go back to that '02 team, these guys, they like to hit you. They like to rub your face in it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, guys like, you're telling me that Shaq Barrett, Devin White, and Ndamukong Suh wouldn't have been just as rough and mean. And I mean, they're mean today, let alone what if they could get away with all the things that you used to be able to do, right?
Oh, you put them boys back in '02, especially Sue. Sue was, he's borderline. He was almost in that era, the '02 era. He's kind of like them in the middle of both eras. He's a badass in himself. So, and JPP, put JPP. I mean, I think him and JPP and Simeon Rice are very similar type players. Either way, no matter what, we're champions, right? It's Buccaneers win. So whoever wins in the simulation, I'm happy.
Now, Musa, man, I'll ask you I guess the last matchup that we haven't gone over is coaching, man. So are you thinking that it's John Gruden, right, against Bruce Arians and his new tattoo, brother? What coach are you taking?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
Musa, man, who you got?
Oh man, this is tough, but again, I'm probably just gonna have to go with the 2020 team. Just with, and I mean, all respect to John Gruden. But I just think that when you kind of accumulate all the kind of coaches, especially the key ones, like head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, I I prefer the 2021 with Arians, and I think also just Leftwich and Todd Bowles, just and then I mean here also with our game manager, basically the one who's running the whole show, which is Tom Brady. So I just think when those four guys are in the room compared to the 2002 four guys in the room, meaning those three coaches and their QB, I would say I'm gonna say the 2020 team.
Mikey, we wearing berets to the Super Bowl party, or are we wearing visors?
Such a good question, man. It's so interesting, right? Because to me, I feel like John Gruden brought the spark to the team, like Brady brought the spark to the team.
Hmm.
John Gruden
Hmm.
came to the team. The team was established already. He brought that spark that we needed to take him over the top. Tom
Okay.
Brady comes to the team. Team is pretty much established, and he brings that spark. So to compare the coaches is kind of interesting to me. After that Super Bowl win, John Gruden, he had a decent run. Never got us back to the prime. We never won a playoff game again. And Bruce Arians, although I think he's a great coach, there's been some things in the last few years that I wasn't overly happy with some of his decision making. So it's a very interesting question. If I had to choose one, man, I'm gonna go with John Gruden, just because he was that spark that took us over the edge, and got us that Super Bowl that year. And I liked his personality. I liked his fire. I loved all the Chucky shirts that everybody had on growing up. Everyone had Chucky shirts and that personality. So for this one, I'm gonna go with Chucky on this one and John Gruden.
All right, man. Well, I think it was pretty fun to go through and kind of relive that '02 championship team, and in a really cool what if scenario, if you put them on the gridiron, who would come out on top? So we've talked a lot about all the greats of the past and the guys that are currently doing their thing, man. But I think that's going to be it for today. I think it's going to be fun to see what who on this team ends up being the Hall of Fame level. If there's people that are going to be able to get, because there's five, there's three O2 players are in the Hall, and Simeon Rice hasn't made it yet, and Barber hasn't made it yet. But those guys
Barber's a
probably have
finalist this year, right?
they have a pretty good chance, or at least they're going to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun to see who on this current team rises to that level, right? For that, I mean, that's pretty much all that we've got for this week. Musab, man, any final thoughts for us before we get out of here?
No, it was really nice doing this. Kind of analyzing both teams and comparing them, and just talking overall Bucks. So, to all of our listeners, again, thank you for giving us this opportunity and giving us this chance. And as always, go Bucks.
Yeah, man. Mikey, what you got for us, man?
Yeah, man, this was a fun conversation, a fun little throwback Thursday, to relive, that team that we had in '02 and kind of compare the two. Fun talking about it. It was awesome going through the simulations and kind of, trying to see who would win. So I had a blast, man. Love talking to you guys. Thanks to all the listeners that are keeping up with us and following us. Talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, man. If you can do one thing, our listeners out there, please follow us on all forms of social media. We're posting score updates for all the Rays are back in action after opening day. They're already tied at the top of the standings. One win. They're on pace for a perfect season, baby. You've got the Lightning. They're kicking butt. We put out good content that you can keep up with all your teams. We are at RBLR Sports on Instagram, on Twitter. We're on Facebook. And if you're listening to us, whatever device you're listening to us, if you're on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, you name it, hit us with that subscribe button. Give us the like. If you can leave a review, give us the 5 stars that I think we try to deliver for you every single week. So for Musab, for Mikey, and me again, I'm Eureka, and we are glad to bring this to you every single week, and I cannot wait to get right back at it. So for all of us here at RBLR Sports, thank you. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.